Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Again, we get to create. Sometimes you'd think that I'm a professional at doing this, but sometimes I get too dang excited and things just kind of don't. But anyway, if you missed that, I missed a button, and so we had a little lapse there, but that's kind of life, and I'll fix that so you don't have to listen to it again. But in any event, I want to welcome everybody to the show. We've got lots to talk about today. We've got a wonderful gal who's with us. Her name is Andrea Wehlann, and she is a yoga instructor. She's an author. She's done a bunch of stuff that I got to talk to her about, because there's some things she's been on the show before, but there are some things that we really haven't gone deep, and she's got a poem that she wants to read me. I want to talk about what's going on with the show and with us and everything, and so this is going to be a big episode, and I hope everybody stays for the entire time. Andrea, how are you?
I am good, thank you, Kevin. It's nice to see you, nice to hear from you, and I cannot thank you enough for having me back on the show again to talk about things that matter. Thank you.
They do indeed. Now, I wanted to, because I don't know that I know the answer to that. Well, I'm not like a good lawyer. You know how a good lawyer will not ask a question that they don't already know the answer to?
I wish I didn't know about lawyers, but I do.
So do I, unfortunately. But that's part of the adventure of life, is to learn how to be in a courtroom and try and learn the lingo that they talk and all that. Anyway, but I wanted to ask you right off the top, one of the things that you talk about a great deal and you are very adept at and in-depth at is something called the yoga philosophy. Now, I'm not exactly sure I know what that exactly is. I didn't know there really was a philosophy behind yoga. Could you kind of explain that to us? What is that?
So I stumbled upon this in my quest to kind of transform all of my thoughts of fear into thoughts of love. I went on a mission to transform all of my painful experiences into positive experiences. And studying yoga was maybe the 10th or 12th study that I did down the road, and which is great, because in 1999 in New York City, right around the corner from the David Letterman Theater, I walked into my first yoga class and fell in love with it. After that, like I do, I became a little obsessed and started to study the teachings and to really get to know what was behind the postures. And what I found was that there's actually a lifestyle called the Eightfold Path, which is a way of being, which is a way of life that's kind of been laid out and is practiced really as we sit here today by the Eastern cultures. And I adapted that to my Western life and to my thinking, and it's become absolutely who I am now. So just to put a little bit of verbs into that, is there's the Eightfold Path that some people may have heard of that, the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, and there's 8 limbs of yoga. So it's basically the right vision. The Eightfold Path is the right vision, right values, the right speech, using the right words, the right actions. The actions that you take, are they in line? Right livelihood, how you live your life, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditation. So when this is a guideline of how you can live your life so that This is under the premise of knowing the Four Noble Truths, which is life is suffering. There's causes of the suffering. You can ease the suffering. And the Eightfold Path is the way to do that. So,
Go ahead.
mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
Interject.
Well, you brought up one of my favorite words that, and I know that you know this. I had the opportunity to interview Neil Donald Walsh last week, and it's going on the Brushwood Media network, and it will be there this next week, and then it'll be in the archives. And he has volunteered. He's actually volunteered to come back and do more. But one of the things we talked about, and I prefaced it this way. I have a friend that he's from New Jersey. And when you're from New Jersey, you have a different way of thinking and a different way of being and stuff. And so I was talking about the concept of be, do, have. And he was saying, no, that's not right. You got to do stuff. If you want to do stuff, then you got to be. Then, if you do enough stuff, then maybe you'll get some measure of happiness, but you can't just be. You got to do stuff to get there. And so I tried to explain to him the difference between doing stuff and being. And he didn't get He didn't get it. So when I had this interview with Neil Donald Walsh, I asked him, because this is where I got the philosophy from, is had him explain what the be, do, have philosophy is, rather than the do, have, be, which is if you do enough stuff and you have enough things, then you'll be happy, which is what my friend from New Jersey, that's what he. But Neil taught me and taught all of us through Conversations with God, the book he wrote, and many others, that if you be something, in order to have something, before you have it, you need to be it. So if you want to be happy, you be happy first. And when you're happy, you will receive the things that you will then have, and then or let's see, you do the see, I can't even still can't do it.
No
Because
rush.
it is, if you be happy and you do the things that make you happy, which includes giving happiness to another more than your own self. Because if you give happiness to another, you're actually giving it to yourself as well. And so if you be happy, and then you do the things that make you happy in your life, you will have a better life. You'll have happiness. And you can't do it reversed. You can't do it from, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff, and then that's going to make me more money, more attractive, more of this, or whatever it is. But be that. And in your core philosophy is that you're going to be happy regardless of the circumstances around you. Then the things that come to you are different than the things that would otherwise come to you if your philosophy was, I got to do stuff. I got to do stuff, because it doesn't work that way. According to Neil's writings, we have it backwards. And so, does that make any sense?
There, as you're speaking, there was probably 100 spiritual contexts that were playing through my mind. There's a lot in what you just said. It makes sense. Here's the thing for me, for my story, is growing up, I didn't know what happiness was. So what is happy? And then, being that we're all snowflakes, it's important that you make note to define what is happiness for you. Also, bring in the Eightfold Path we were talking about. It's also important to know that everything is constantly moving and in flux. You notice how we never quite get there, and something's always arising. So it's knowing that once you're happy, the opposite is coming. The sadness is coming. happy, sad. So happiness isn't a state, as far as I understand, or a place that you hang out. It's a moment in time and it's passing. So it's about, can you go with the flow of having the happiness feeling and then losing it? Because this is what happens. We ebb and we flow. And this is where the Eightfold Path has, and the Four Noble Truths teach us that there's a middle path. And can you stay in the middle? So can you be happy and still know that sadness is coming? And if you can, then you suffer less and you can move through life with ease. It becomes a dance between happy and sad.
Well, see, it makes sense because then it's all a matter of your perception. If you are inherently working to be happy, when the things come up, as they will, as our journey through life, it's not all puppy dogs and rainbows. We have moments in time that are negative, that are difficult, when people pass away, when we lose friendships, when a myriad of different things.
Forks in the road, knives in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. But and forks in the road is a great example. You can
Mm-hmm.
choose to
Mm-hmm.
choose the road of your highest
Mm-hmm.
your highest potential, or walking through that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the hurtful things don't hurt as bad. Or at least that's been my experience. How about yours?
Mm-hmm. I think the main thing is I didn't know what happiness was. So there was a book by, I believe it's David Burns, and it's a yellow book and it's called Feeling Happy. And in there, you actually write in the book and you do quizzes and you write down things and you try and find your happiness. But I think for a lot of people, maybe if they grew up in the 70s or with some trauma or abuse and things like that, how would they know what happiness is?
True.
Without the internet, how would we know what that image is? So I think that's the first thing is, can you feel happiness? Did you grow up with happiness? Did it change for you? What is it for you? Or else, or my Zen Buddhist teacher used to say, what nourishes you? Like, what nourishes you? Because if you don't know this, if you don't know the answer to what nourishes you, then I'm sure there's something at the mall, there's something on your phone, there's something at someone else's house, in this class over here, and it's all of these directions that are not within you and inside you, and that's an empty path because you have to know for yourself what nourishes you.
And that becomes a whole process of life, doesn't it?
uh, Amen. I mean, it became that for me, hearing that put that way from my teacher, for sure.
Yeah, because it seems to me like, well, let me preface this by saying that I have always, when I was a baby, they said, "You're a happy baby." I've always
Mm-hmm.
had this ability to be happy, even in the dark times.
Mm-hmm.
Even well, I can't
I
thinking
know
back,
what you mean. I know what you mean.
the dark
However,
yeah, the dark times for a period of
mm-hmm.
time were very dark and angry, and at
Mm-hmm.
one point, I was glad I didn't have a gun. I don't own any firearms because
Mm-hmm.
I've known several people that have committed suicide, or not committed, but have experienced suicide because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sorry.
well, but that again, that's part of life, and that's part of what my mission is to help people realize that they're
Mm-hmm.
special and they're important.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother-in-law, who we lost to suicide 20 years ago when he was 42, or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
42 or so. I was
Oh.
thinking about the experiences of life that he missed, and stuff, and that really is kind of motivates me to keep being working to be happy, and working to understand that even when bad things happen, that we can get through them, and to understand that we're,
Mm-hmm.
we're pretty resilient.
Mm-hmm.
We can get through.
Mm-hmm.
You've been through a lot, and look at you today.
So if we talk about the Four Noble Truths and apply it to what we were just saying, um, life is suffering. There is sickness, old age, and death. The causes of suffering are craving and wanting. The sensation of suffering is that eightfold path, taking right vision, values, meditation, actions, livelihood, effort, mindfulness. But it's the stopping the wanting and the craving, because this is part of our human nature, is once we have one thing, we're going to want the next. We're going to want the next. So it's like, what's your ultimate nourishment? What nourishes you, one, but also what's your happy, what makes you happy. So because we tend to crave and desire and want more things, this is what makes us suffer. This is what makes us stay in the dark for so long, right? It's like, I want this, or I want that, or I want this car, I want that outfit. It's a constant, there's no satisfaction there.
Yeah. You would, it's like, my sister says, don't you think that buying another pair of shoes would be good? And and the way I am, it's like, no, I got a pair. It works. I,
Right?
but I
You
know
know,
people that have dozens of pairs of shoes because they're not
mm,
satisfied with what they've got, and there's an emptiness in
mm,
them that they have to try and fill somehow. I have
mm,
relatives that are like that. I'm not
mm,
happy, so I'm gonna go to the store and buy something that I can't afford,
yeah.
you know?
Or maybe we're whole, but we didn't ask ourselves the right questions,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
And
It,
that's one of the things that I wanna help people with. So this is a very good
mm-hmm.
conversation that we are having.
I love it. Mm-hmm. It really helps to look at things through the lens of the Four Noble Truths, or to follow the 8 limbs of yoga, or the Eightfold Path. I mean, and it's not just us talking about it here on the radio, but people are actually living their whole life this way, and they feel peace. And it's our birthright to feel calm and stillness. And in yoga, we call it, at the end of a yoga class, is similar to at the end of going for a massage. For people that don't do yoga, it's the same feeling. You're relaxed and you're still. There's no craving, wanting in those moments. There's a quiet mind and there's stillness, and that's our true nature. And so if our mind is busy and we're always craving and wanting, and we go from happy, sad, up, down so much, then maybe you consider studying the Four Noble Truths, or applying the Eightfold Path to your life, or finding a yoga teacher, or listening to our shows.
Exactly, because I'm firmly believe that if you are, first of all, if you know your greatness, like we say in the beginning, and you
Mm-hmm.
discover who you really are and why you're really here, and you pursue those things that make you happy, that you're passionate about, that can help humanity, that can help other people, that
Mm-hmm.
it's a very good way to live, and you can live so peacefully.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the best part of the Four Noble Truths, the 8 limbs of yoga, the Eightfold Path. The whole point is that you get to know yourself. Yoga is a path of the self, through the self, to the self, because there's only one of us here, one begotten Son, one love, one heart, and it's you. So yoga is love. Yoga is a path to love. And these are different lenses that we cut through the I was going to swear, the BS or the chatter of the mind. That's sorry. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's always so busy, right? So we need these lenses, we need these stories, we need these podcasts, so we can cut through the cage that the mind places on us, right? So we can use the Four Noble Truths just as a lens to look at things. Why do I keep going to the mall? Why is this making me happy? And then maybe find a different spot of yourself that likes something else, or like you that loves your pair of shoes. I love being barefoot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I'm not gonna tell you what else I don't buy a lot of, but that's neither here nor there, because I'm a simple man who leads a
Mm-hmm.
simple life, but I love the life that I lead
Mm-hmm.
because of its simplicity. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think that I understand what you're saying, because I've also come to realize that too. But I think it's because we had a lot of complex things that we sorted through with our life experiences and our hardships
Oh,
and
yeah.
traumas and relationships. And I think that for yoga and understanding this Eastern way of living, or the yogic path, is really an unlearning of what you thought you knew. And really, everything is simple. In metaphysics, it's really can you break everything down into love or fear? Like everything is so simple. Sometimes people, when they'll approach me and talk to me, are like, well, I don't, like, it can't be possible. They're looking for me to be more complex. And it's like, really, everything's very simple.
You either approach it from love or you approach it from fear. Let's delve into that. I need to take a break real quick. It's only 30 seconds, folks, so hang with us. I need to take a break, but when we come back, let's talk about living, choosing to live how you live. Because some people choose to live in fear and some people choose to live in love. And how can we help people that are living in fear maybe make a little itty bitty teeny weeny change that they can then live a better, more fruitful, more happy, if you will, life. You're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We'll be right back with Andrea Wehlann. She is something, I gotta tell you. We'll be right back.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And Andrea Wehlann is with us today, and she is a yoga instructor out of just north of New York. And she has been spending her life really in the pursuit of understanding of how to live. And you kind of blended Western philosophies and Eastern philosophies to put it together in a way that can be real beneficial and that people can understand. And we were talking about either living in love or living in hate, which or living in fear, which when you live in fear, then things like hate, jealousy, um, um, the other, the group thing, all of that stuff come into play. Um, can you give us some thoughts and ideas about how to maybe make that shift in yourself, either through yoga or other ways, NLP, which you're also an expert in, different things, to make that shift so that your life doesn't go from one hateful experience to another or one fearful experience to another, but can then maybe translate a little bit more into a higher vibration, maybe a higher love, and treating things differently. Would you like that's no small feat. Would you like that?
What's the question?
The question is sorry, go ahead.
No, so how can we, so a couple things come up. So if your life feels heavy, thick, you have to understand there are certain laws of nature, there's certain laws of the universe. Once you let in, you might notice this, and if you haven't noticed it, notice it today, because the consciousness is lifted. People can understand now the concepts that we're talking about, where before, when I was learning them, I had textbooks that I reread 3 to 4 times. I made notes. I had to write everything down. I traveled to Brazil. I lived in New York City. I went around the world to study with these teachers. But we don't need to do that anymore. We need to ask ourselves the right questions to crack the light that we already are. And so if you're feeling in desolation, isolation, fearful all the time, shame, betrayal, understand that all of those are friends. And once you let one in, they all tend to come. You might notice this. If you can notice this, then you have a chance to take a breath once you notice it and not like get stuck there with all the stories that attach to those. So if you're in fear, doubt, or betrayal, shame, any of those, guilt is one, notice it and then notice what else is there. Because we're so much more than our thoughts, but no one has told us to look within. No one has told us that we're both the light and the dark in life, but we actually are. We actually are, but it's a matter of asking yourself, the questions. Okay, so I'm sitting at home and I'm scared and I'm nervous as heck. What else is here with me? What else can I feel right now? Will it pass? Right? So it's
Yeah.
sitting with the emotion. So we're not escaping anything. You're not escaping fear. You're not escaping betrayal. These are all here. In Zen, there's 72 seeds that lay dormant within us. Love, anger, betrayal, hope, joy. They're all within us. But which one are you watering? Which one are you giving your attention? But also, maybe nobody told us in grade 4 that we can, like, yes, there's fear, but there's also love. And it's one mind that creates a horror story is the same mind that can create a love story out of a situation. And that's another technique. So if you're at home and you're like, well, this happened to me, or you lost a job or a relationship, or your heart is broken, and heartbreak is a whole other show, like, seriously. But can you ask yourself, or can you write that out? Right now, I feel shitty. Now, can you make that a love story? At the same time, I'm also sitting here in my beautiful house with a pen and paper. So I have a lot of luxuries, and I'm really grateful for that. As simple as that. Your mind cannot serve two masters at the same time. You're not happy and sad, ever. It's one or the other. So it's a matter of knowing how your mind works, and then asking yourself the right questions, creating a different story for yourself. There's a lot of little techniques that can be used.
See, I knew you were up to the task.
I
So
love this stuff.
I know. So do
I do. I really do.
And, in talking with Gary Zukov, which I did yesterday, and I was really pleased to talk to him. And he talks about, seat of the soul and others living consciously. Now, that doesn't mean that you are happy-go-lucky all the time, because he said in the show yesterday that he grew up, he was an angry young man, he was a sex addict, he had all kinds of issues and all kinds of problems, but when he had a paramount shift and started to live consciously, it's not that those feelings went away, but he can now step back from them and say, why am I feeling fearful? Why am I feeling hateful? What is the core reason within me that is causing me to act and to feel and to behave this way? And that allowed him the knowledge to be able to make the changes that he wanted to make to live a happier life, to be a better husband, a better friend, and a better person for himself. Is living consciously, is that too overly broad, or is that a good metaphor to use?
I think it's fabulous. I've said it on the show, and I'll probably say it every show. The consciousness has lifted. We are consciousness. We are conscious, sentient beings. We feel everything. We are the universe. The stars are not separate. But the sunbeams, when we look at the sunbeams, do they stop at our skin? No, we're not separate from these things. And we are the only creature on the planet that knows we're going to die. We are the only consciousness that has these gifts. But just like when we buy the iPhone and we don't read the instruction manual, we don't know how to use the mind. And so half the time we're walking around, and if you picture like a little dinghy in the rapids, we're rowing one way and our mind is rowing the other way because there's resistance to things. So once you know how the mind works, then you can have your mind work with you, work for you. This is yoga, to unite mind, body, soul. Get everybody on the same team, rowing in the same direction. That's all within us. That's not at the mall. That's not at somebody else's house. That's not in your relationship. These are the gifts that we have inside of us. These are the seeds that we can water. We have this power. We have this ability. That's how I'm sitting here in front of you. Nobody told me this, but it's why I'm here. It's why I wrote the book. It's why I do the shows, and it's why I'm passionate about it, because I know it to be true. And so you won't always know exactly what happened to me, but you'll always know that when I talk, it's the truth. There's greatness inside all of us, and we are the tool. We are the one we're waiting for. There's no white knight coming. It's you. And it's amazing.
And that creates a tremendous responsibility within ourselves, but also a tremendous amount of freedom.
Amen. Absolutely. That's one of my favorite lines ever, was watching Spider-Man and hearing that, because I was already in the process, but I didn't have many signs along the road just because I'm older than some people. But anyway, it says in that movie, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's, I believe in that, and I act that way. Once I learned the lessons, I didn't go backwards. I was hell bent on not repeating those same terrible things that I endured and that happened. I wanted something different. And with great power comes great responsibility. But also, once you're awake, you don't want to go back to sleep. Once you see how much you can love or how kind you can be to someone, and you see that reflected in their face, you see that reflection come back to you. That's priceless, and that becomes a passion, and that plants a seed for you to keep being that way. The universe will always meet you if you just take one step. There's magic in that.
I love, by the way, we're talking with Andrea Wehlann, and if you want to go to our website and check her out and all the things that she does, I invite you to do that, even though I can't figure it out all by myself. So I'm going to have her give us the website.
It's Ganga Moon Yoga on any platform. Ganga is the river in India that means healing, Ganga, Ganga Moon Yoga. It's at squaresite.com and on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, free YouTube channel.
And when we come back, first of all, I love the metaphors, because sometimes movies can say something just totally out of context, but it can be like a little nugget that you're getting that you were thinking about, that can impact your life. And I have one for you. And when we're got to go to break here, but while we're at break, I want you to think about, without Googling it now, I want you to think about this particular saying that is near and dear to my heart, and it comes from a movie that you would not expect. And the saying is this: your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald, and you're listening to the Brushwood Media Network. And Andrea Wehlann is our guest, and I've given her a major question to answer, and I don't know whether she's going to have the answer for it or not. But anyway, the saying again is, your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it. And that has a many levels of wisdom for me. First of all, what does it mean for you? And do you have any idea what movie that came from?
I have no idea what movie that came from, but I'm curious.
You're not alone. It came it came from the movie Braveheart.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Oh, I have a dear friend who that's his favorite movie. He always told me, you have to watch it. You have to watch it. Okay.
Well, and the scene is, his father has been killed, and he's lying on a gurney in their house. He was killed in the war with the British, and the young William Wallace is sitting there beside him, and he fantasizes that his dad turns his head. His dad has already passed away. His dad turns his head, and he says, "Your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it." And that was. And to me, it was like one of those. It was like, holy Moses! I didn't think he was that smart to write that. And because your heart is free, but it
Yeah.
does take courage sometimes to follow your heart and not let your head
Mhm.
get involved.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, really, everything I've done is following my heart, and I'm here because I followed my heart. But at the same time, it's not the darkness that scares us because we know it so well. It's more of a comfort, I think, now. But it's the light that blinds our eyes, and it's our love that scares us, and our capacity of what we can be that is scary sometimes. And that actually brings me to a poem that I wrote that reminds me of you
Oh, good.
and your shows, because I wrote it in university when I was overcoming, yeah, a lot of things there. I think like rape was one of them in the second year. But this poem, it was in that same period of when I was in university. But at the time that I wrote it, it's really what I felt. But then it's just what you were talking about. It's like, or what we were saying about sometimes it's the brightness that blinds our eyes. So it does take a lot of courage to follow your heart. Yeah. Can I
Now,
read it to you?
yeah, but let me set it up for you.
Okay.
Uh, just because she's been thinking about this for a little while. So, bless her heart, she actually took an hour to go find
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and it was important enough for her to do that. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for that. Um,
Mm,
for you to have the the courage and the and the happiness because to do
mm,
that. We're going to talk about that more in a minute, but I would love for you to read this
mhm,
poem because this is something that you wrote when you were in university,
mhm.
which was
Yep.
just 2 years ago. So it
Yeah,
wasn't.
last week.
Yeah,
Mhm. Okay, the 90s, but whatever.
I remember the '90s. I was there. So
Yeah, and yeah, and I just love that we're talking about being brave and courageous. And I find it interesting that the poem has come full circle from to our conversations because I did hide it, and you'll probably understand when you hear it. I don't have a title for it; it's not published. But ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I brought the words you gave me and wrote them in a line. I heard your voice within. I heard you stealing time. Instantly I smiled, though I know you couldn't see. My heart is always hiding from the world in which you see. So I tremble at the chatter, and so I lose and lose to win. But greatness isn't out there, baby. Greatness is within. And this I know I am. Of all the things to know, I know I am the greatness. I know I steal the show. I live with no regret. The difference blinds your eyes. I know I am more peaceful, though that may capture some surprise. I trust and I faith and I feel so heavenly deep. So something can be no thing, though the tumble may seem steep.
That was incredible. That was really cool, and thank you. Thank you for that. I'll own that.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, and absolutely. By the way,
Mhm,
you said in your poem several words that I consider uh, paramount to my existence. One is greatness. I truly believe that we are all born great, and we spend
mhm.
the rest of the time trying to figure out why we're not great. And then at one point in time, we just rediscover the fact, hey, I ain't so bad after all. And,
Mhm,
and that we were and that we're great. The other one is trust. One of my
mhm,
favorite words is being able to trust in who you really are. And
mhm,
if you approach it from with a conscious mind through your heart, then you will know that what you are feeling and what you are doing is what you should be doing. And if you're listening to your
mhm,
guides, your guidance and stuff, and if you're listening to music and it happens to be a song that you every time you hear it on the radio, it's because of something that you've been thinking about and it means a lot to you. I don't know how they do this, but they do it and so all of those things but living consciously. So
mhm.
thank you so much for that, Andrea.
Yeah, and let's talk about why you have to be brave or courage to follow your heart.
Oh, yeah. Can teacher?
Well,
Can I, teacher? Can I answer that one, teach?
yes, please.
Um, it is easier to not be brave and to not take chances and to just
Mhm.
say, well, I coulda, but no, that's way too hard. And I'm going to ruffle way too many feathers. And I'm going to cause so much turmoil
Mhm.
with people that I know that I'll just stay here in my little room and keep to my little self and won't go there. And
Yeah.
that's for me, that I had a moment like
Mhm. Mhm.
but I continued to do what I needed to do, which is what I'm doing with you today, because it
Yes.
was going to impact somebody else, and I felt
Yes.
the need to be able to do that.
Yes. Amen. Yes. And I felt the exact same way. And it's important what you said there about other people, because people need to know that when you shine your light, it will blind the eyes of some people. It is going to make other people intimidated if they're not doing the work that you're doing. And so there's a thing that I learned called cement boots and ankle biters. And you have to be afraid, you have to be brave, and you have to be courageous at some point to break the cement boots. And if you're having trouble with that, then you need to know, like Kevin, like how we're talking, how we're both here right now, is that it's not about you, but there's a greater purpose, and there's other people that are listening, and there's other people that need your light. And so if you're feeling stuck, or your greatness, like I held this poem inside me for so long, then I just want to water the seeds within you of bravery and courage and greatness, because you reaching your potential will help Kevin and I to reach our potential and help other people to reach their potential. And in this way, we're all interconnected and we all grow together. It's so important.
I couldn't agree more. Again,
Mm,
I'm going to reference Neil Donald Walsh, who is he wrote Conversations with God 1, 2, and 3,
yes.
and six other books in
Mm-hmm.
his conversation series with God. And
Mm-hmm.
the one sentence that he said the first time I read it. Now I grew up in a Lutheran home and for my entire life, and so I went to a parochial school and I went to Sunday school. And the one sentence that I never heard, not once, not ever, in that environment was, "We are all one." I read that in his book, Conversation with God, book one, and I closed the
Wow.
book and I said, I had kind of an epiphany. And I said to myself, do you realize that if we all recognize that we are all one, we come from the same place, we're going
Mm-hmm.
back to the same place, that that we no longer would need to have war because we're brothers and sisters. Why would we want to kill ourselves? Why would
Mm-hmm.
we want to see any of us die of hunger? Why
Mm-hmm.
would we want to see negative things happen to others because it's happening to us?
Mm-hmm.
And the more people recognize that, and then it can change the world. And
Mm-hmm.
that I think I know you agree with that.
You have to know what nourishes you. You have to know what nourishes you. And that moment for me was the Thich Nhat Hanh book called Being Peace, where I just grabbed a book of a title of something that I wanted to be. I didn't know what peace was or that I was it. I was looking to get something, and I had that book. And this is where yoga and what we were talking about comes into play. Because if you can close your eyes for a minute and bring attention to your breath, it can be so simple. But in that moment, you can know that you are more than your thoughts, and you are so much more than you think you are. And having that experience just shows you can feel the interconnectedness. You are not what your mind is saying to you all the time. You are your body and you are your breath. And that's the quantum level where we're all connected. And you can experience this. And this is why I love yoga, because you get to feel this. You can feel this and you can live in that existence. And
And
then so everything you do matters, because every breath you take, every cell in your body, everything you ingest, and your actions are all how you're treating yourself.
So far, I'm keeping score over here because I I think this is important.
Mm.
So far, we have referenced 2 movies and at least 2 songs that I'm aware of. One is Sting did this one, "Every Breath You Take." A
Oh.
and when we look at and
Mhm.
people will say, "Well, my, there's a fine coincidence for you." And it's like, no, these songs, the music that is out there that is
Mhm.
positive and um and is has a message to it. It's all by divine design, I believe. There was a song by Leanne Womack. It was
Oh,
called
yes.
"I Hope You Dance,"
I hope you did. Oh my gosh.
and
Mhm.
this song was in popular in the early 2000s when I was going through
Mhm.
my change, and I would get a thought of something and would get this, and as a matter of fact, it was about doing radio. And the song
Mhm.
would come on, and it's like, "I hope you dance." And if you haven't heard the song, I can't paraphrase it exactly, but it's
Yeah.
basically, I hope that rather than sit on the sidelines and wait for something to happen, that you get up and dance, and you take charge of your life, and you do something that may be a little uncomfortable, but it's your way, and what we were talking about before. So
And
I go ahead.
and I hope you never lose your sense of wonder.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. I got you. And this is, and let's talk about the dance. And this is what we've been talking about. This whole conversation is about learning to dance. Your mind is the greatest dance floor. If you get stuck in fear, know that you're loved. You can dance to the other side. If you're feeling pain and hurt, you can experience love as well. It's a dance. Make it a beautiful dance. Make the states of your mind dance with each other, the middle path. This is yoga. There's a middle path, not too far into suffering, not too much on a cloud trying to get somewhere because we're already here. So can you dance with whatever's coming? Just make it part of your dance. That was the wedding song that my father picked for my sister on her wedding day.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. By
And
the
I
way,
have a funny story.
I'll tell you
I
what, I want you to
Okay.
hold the funny story till after this break. We're talking with Andrea Wehlann, and go to our website again, which is Ganga Moon Yoga, and
Squaresite.com.
exactly, or just Google Ganga Moon Yoga and Ganga Moon Yoga, and you will find her. So she's got a story to tell us about that when we come back. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be gone for 30 seconds, so don't you dare go anywhere.
No.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
And again, welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. How is everybody today? I got to tell you, Andrea Wehlann, we have the best time when we get together because we talk
Mhm.
about things that are not really things that people like to talk about a great deal because of the depth with which we have to be open to it to get
Mhm.
some of these things. But you have a story. Finish.
Mhm.
Tell me your story.
Well, the story just goes with the two songs that you mentioned. One is "I Hope You Dance," Leanne Womack, which my dad picked for my sister on her wedding day, and my dad has passed, so I just found it interesting. And "Every Breath You Take" by Sting. So during high school with my first boyfriend over, we were watching Buffalo Sabres game with pizza and wings, and I hear my dad going up the staircase going, "Every breath you take." Every move you make. And I'm like, oh God, how embarrassing. But it just brought that to mind when you name those two songs.
Well, and can I be so bold as to suggest that that is your way of your dad saying hello right here on the radio?
I feel that you are my soul family, and moments like that just let me know that I'm in the right place at the right time. And hopefully that's a reflection to people listening. They're not listening by accident. They're listening for a reason.
You know, it's interesting. Thank you for saying that, because
Mhm.
that is that is the crux of the mission that I'm on. Goes back to 2003. Had to give up the show because of for financial considerations, but one lady
Mhm.
called in. She said, "Well, I'm Carol from Bainbridge Island, and I just want you to know that we're going to miss you terribly. Now, I want you to think about this. When we do a podcast, when we do a radio show, we're
Mhm.
generally in a room by ourselves, or maybe there's one or other
Mhm.
two people there. We don't have any idea who's listening or why or how. But this particular lady, she said, "You don't have any idea what you mean to us." And I said, "Well,
Mhm.
thank you." And she said, "No, I'm an Alzheimer's caregiver. And she and I sit here and listen to you every day because you can still reach her." And
Mhm.
I couldn't think of a more powerful statement than that, and how we all have the ability to
Mhm.
reach each other in a positive way if we choose. And that's why
Mhm.
I do this. And that's why it's important for
Mhm.
me to have people like you on the show, because there's somebody,
Mhm.
Andrea, I'm certain of it.
Mhm.
There's somebody around the world who's going to listen to this show, and
Mhm.
it's going to cause them to take control and to uh,
Mhm.
improve their consciousness and change their own life. We can't
Mhm.
do it for them, but we can give them the
Yeah.
idea.
And also metaphysically, where two minds are joined, it strengthens that thought. And I hold that thought with you, and I hold that space with you. And that's why I'm here today to share my story and the experiences. And yeah, and if that person's out there, let us know, because we love those moments where we hear that. There was one poem in my book, No Matter How Dark the Stain. And I was at a book signing, and it's called Rohypnol, much to the publisher's dismay. But one young lady came up holding the book. She was just hugging it in her arms. And she said to me at the book signing, "I didn't know there was words for what happened to me. So thank you for writing that poem." That's a very similar moment to what you just described. And those are the moments that wipe out all fear, and anytime if you or I doubt ourselves, we have those moments. And really your whole life can be suffering, but one moment of love can fix that. One moment of light can fix that. And if you look at the sky, it's not all stars lined up. It's not, because it'd be too bright for us to look at. The stars are placed like the things in our life. There's moments of love, and it's so true. And that's what life is. If just remember the moments, stick to the moments, and look forward to the moments.
Because this moment is all there is.
Yeah.
The past is gone. And I know that for some people, the past lingers on because
Mhm.
of the pain that they experienced earlier in life, or the problems or whatever it was. But
Mhm.
ultimately, the past is gone. The
Mhm.
future's not here yet. It's not written. We don't know if we're even going to
Mhm.
be here to experience the future, but we do have now. We have
Mhm.
take take today and do something magnificent with it, like smiling at the bus driver that I was at for 12 years, or
Mhm.
the cashier at the grocery store. Something as monumental as that can have an impact on the planet. I want to thank you for being here. You're fun. We got to do this more often.
This is a happy moment. This is a happy moment.
Yes, indeed. Well, and I'm excited to tell people that I got some good news that coming. I can't share exactly what the good news that coming is, but if you like this show, by the way, if you like
Mhm.
this show, could you let Brushwood Media know how much you like this show? Or if you don't, or if you want me to go away, then you need to tell them that too. But
Mhm.
we are we're very pleased to be with Brushwood Media, and we've had lots of positive reactions to what we are doing here. And I hope that you will tell your friends, your family about this show, because we really honestly do intend to make the world a better place. and we're going to do that one person at a time. And Andrea and I are going to work on that to do it one, and maybe two people at a time. And I want you to go ahead, Andrea.
Well, my yoga teacher side is one breath at a time. One breath at a time.
Exactly. And I want you to. By the way, I've got a math quiz for you.
Uh-oh.
Man comes up to you and says, "Okay, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to give you $1 million right this minute, or I'm going to give you a penny doubled every day for 30 days. Which do you take?"
A penny.
Bingo, you win. A penny, because of the power of connection and the power that we can talk to one person who then talks to one person or two people who talks to two more people. The multiplication effect of people talking to one another and just sharing what you've learned we can have millions of people that are listening and are changing their world because of what you just said. And so I want to thank you very much for that. And we've just got a couple of minutes left. So, Andrea, I want you to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know.
You have all you need inside you right now to heal your life and to make who you are anything that you can imagine. So get a piece of paper and write down your biggest dreams, and that is a magnet for it to happen for you. Your darkness and your light is both love. Keep going, and we're here to support you. Buy my books, leave a review, and tune in next time.
And go to the website, which is
Ganga Moon Yoga, squaresite.com.
And if I could just add this, if you are working to change your life, if you are going to a metaphysical bookstore and buying the first book that speaks to you, if you're listening to shows like this, I want you to continue. The only thing that you cannot do is quit, because everything happens not necessarily in your timing, but in divine timing. And so while you may not know that it's happening today, it is behind the scenes. Everything is lining up for a reason, and it will magically, surprise, someday just show up for you. And do you agree with that, my friend?
And you'll never know if you quit. If we quit, we wouldn't be here. So keep going. Yep, I agree.
And keep going with a gusto and with really with your heart in it and stuff. Give us your website one more time. I really want people to go there.
Yeah, and also just Andrea L. Wehlann on Amazon is the books, and any social media platform. Ganga Moon Yoga at squaresite.com is my website.
And as a final thought, I just want to say, buy her books. If you are a woman who has had trauma in your life, struggles in your life, these books are designed specifically to help you. And so go do that. And your website one more time, please.
So let me say the title of the books. No matter how dark the stain, deeper days, stillness in the storm.
And I love the titles of all those.
Yeah, there's peace within you, and these books help you find peace no matter who you are or where you are. I've been there. I see you. I hear you. You can heal.
Peace. Isn't that a nice word? I hope that in my lifetime, we can make that a reality around the world.
Amen.
Thank you, Andrea, for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.